As the founders of Surefoot, Bob and Russ Shea are obsessed with creating the perfect ski boot for you because they know that a properly fitted custom ski boot will make you a better skier, whatever level you're at. Surefoot, better fitting, better skiing.
All right, welcome back, Freeride fans and Freeride Guide fans. Derek and I are here with your Kicking Horse Golden BC Pro recap. We are both in Golden, but currently in different hotel rooms. We got down to the bottom and we're terribly cold and hungry. And Derek's like, let's just do it on Riverside. I'm up on the mountain, you're down in town. This is just as easy, I think, as doing it in person. I was like, it's nice to do them in person, but this works really well. And to be honest with you, this works out easier for editing too, because I can just, I don't have to switch it back and forth on the camera. I can just put it in the program and boom, takes care of it for me. That was fun. I was live MC today with Brett Tippy, legendary snowboarder. Legendary mountain biker. He's also a very accomplished snowboarder in his day as well. The director of Good Times. Today was a very good time.
Today was insane. I mean, minus the cold, everything else about it was so sick. Like the snow was perfect comp snow. It was consistent. It was smooth. The riders knew kind of, at least for the most part, what they were going to get in the face. I'll tell you, yeah, minus 22 Celsius, minus 7 Fahrenheit, tough on the toes, but you dress for it and hope for the best. And I was so stoked to see the fans out there lining the ridge down in the finish. Like, we've been kind of calling out the Canadian fans over the years. We've held Spain as the gold standard for freeride fans, and France definitely brought the thunder in the last event. But this was a really good turnout for the Kicking Horse Pro. Like there were a ton of people out there. I saw a guy wearing a Canadian tuxedo, full, jeans and jean jacket up there on the ridge. That was bold in the cold.
I saw that guy.
Bold in the cold.
Saw that guy at the end of the day. And I'm pretty happy too, because I've emceed this event. This is my third year in a row. And the first year I did it, we did it up on the ridge. So basically there's Foose Bowl, which is underneath the Ozone, and there's a ridge just above it that you can sit and watch straight across, kind of like a Barbie angle, like in filming. And there really wasn't any specific spot to set up. And I talked to the Kicking Horse people. I'm like, hey, have you guys thought of putting in a fan zone? Because I had just been to that Bakir event and that you had mentioned. And I was like, have you ever thought about putting in a fan zone? They're like, oh, we hadn't thought about it. I'm like, well, whether they choose to go there or not, let's just create something so that they can congregate there and everybody can be together. Last year at T1 in the sunshine was a full-on party. They brought in like a beer garden. They were selling drinks. They had snacks. DJ was going, brought it out again today. And we were a little concerned because of that minus 20 plus weather. I got a little bit of frostbite or a little frost nip on my toe yesterday. And was a little concerned about today, but we were kind of in the shade for a lot of it, just the way the sun cruises over, and it didn't matter. The vibes were high, as Jeff Holden would say.
Totally. Everybody was fired up watching. I mean, they love to see the international heroes of freeride. They love to see the hometown heroes from right here in Canada going after it. It was awesome to see Canada representing like that, and in the cold too. The most Canadian it could have been. Yeah, absolutely freezing cold, but people still out there having a blast. Reminds me of the old time pond hockey. It was awesome. So good to see.
Absolutely. Really, really fun. Thanks to Peak Performance for hooking me up with some down pants, which was absolutely spectacular. I had a couple down jackets on. I went with the heated socks. I took my boots off to wear my like Sorels, my like snow boots. Everyone thought I was crazy because I'd never be able to get my boots back on. And that was true. Fortunately, there was a propane heater there, propane fire pit. I just held them over the fire pit. No problem. So everything kind of worked out. Before we get into more of the comp itself, I want to give a big shout out to Surefoot, the sponsor of the Freeride Guide. Surefoot custom ski boots, custom orthotics, and custom footbeds. We're going to be talking about ski boots a little bit later in this episode. It just tells you how important it is to have good ski boots, especially on a day like today. I've got heated liners in my custom Surefoot boots. and they definitely came in handy the last couple of days. Otherwise, I probably would have had to cut my foot off completely.
Yeah,
I'm
no
not.
doubt. Same deal for me. I had the Surefoot heated liners firing today, and it was the difference maker sitting in the shade on the ridgetop for 4 hours calling this event. So yeah, big big props to Surefoot for keeping the feet at least intact, so we don't have to be out there removing toes and then have to get a shirt like Molly Armanino that says, "Dude, where's my toe?"
Yeah, no doubt. I had to bite my tongue today. So we're gonna get to Molly, who won ski women today, and I was trying to bite my tongue from yelling. And the winner, Molly Armin Nine Toes, which I love. So one of the things I wanted to ask you guys about this. So you do this a lot. You do this, 5-6 times a year. You're used to sitting in the cold, but today down there, I was able to be yelling and screaming and running around and jumping up and down and keeping warm, running to go check the scores, running back, being silly and having a good time. You guys have to sit in one place. So I was kind of paying attention to you guys over the years about how you keep warm. One of the tricks is you actually sit in sleeping bags when you do these events, correct?
Today I did, yeah, and I got to give props to one of the judges, Laurent Gauthier, because he picked me up to drive here to Golden, and I was like, "Did you bring a sleeping bag?" And he's like, "Yeah, are you stupid?" And I was like, "I'll be right back." I went and got my sleeping bag, and it saved me today. We're sitting on like ice cold metal chairs in the snow, in the shade, in sub-zero conditions. So for sure that saved me, and same as you, like the biggest peak performance down jacket I've got, plus everything I own, basically everything in my duffel bag. It was full but light because it's all down. But yeah, absolutely, just completely like threw the book at it today to try to stay warm and just managed to hold on. The only real issue was the toes. Everything else was fine. But yeah, it's tough because we can't get up, we can't move around, we can't shake or move or get the blood flowing at all. And it's at least 4 hours. Like Kicking Horse is probably the shortest comp of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Ozone is a quick face and the riders ride it fast. But 4 hours is essentially the minimum it's going to be without moving at all. So you do what you can and hope for the best, but it worked out just about good enough today.
No, yeah, agreed. Yeah, fantastic. And it's just planning ahead, right? A good plan equals good results. So you had another new partner on the mic today, Amy Engerbretson.
Yeah, Amy was great. Super solid. She's done a ton of live events, hosting X Games, public speaking. So she's very good on the mic, and I'd say similar to both of us. She's the kind of person that's going to be talking anyway, so might as well get paid for it. Yeah, she was really good. She knows the sport inside out. She's a she's a pro skier herself. So, as she said, a self-confessed fan of the Freeride World Tour. She's been watching for years. A former competitor at Freeride, and solid, really, really solid. So, Amy was in just for this event because Hadley Hammer wasn't able to make it. But excellent job. I thought she did. I'll go rewatch it and see. But we only had 1 day to prep. Today was the first day of the weather window, right? So it wasn't like she had a lot of time to get ready. But consummate professional, just dove in, ready to go, had her notes all prepped, had all her research done, and was like on point for the whole event. So it's all you can ask for. Like, as you know, each one of these co-hosts that comes in, as long as they're better than me, they're doing all right. And I'd say she nailed it.
Fair enough. All right. And lastly, before we get into it, let's talk about the snow a little bit. I was talking to some of the judges and some of the riders, a couple days ago. We got a big dump last week, and it had a chance to settle, and it's been very cold. So the snow is soft yet firm, with almost a little layer of fluff on top, almost like a really good mattress with like a memory foam topper kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah,
right?
Exactly. They've had Ozone open to the public this year, way more than usual. So it's got some skier compaction on the snow, especially in the central part. And I thought it was really interesting because the last time we were on Ozone, everybody went lookers left, riders right, because that's where the snow was. This time, that section wasn't open or previously, but the middle was. So the skier compaction made it way more predictable in that middle section. We saw very few shark attacks in that middle zone. The snow, I mean, there's the parts that had a little bit of southern exposure were a little bit firmer because they had that sun on them. But all in all, it was really consistent. One of the probably more consistent events we've had on Ozone in terms of snow conditions, just because of that. They've had it open. The skier compaction makes all the difference in this area. Like, because the snow is so cold, it can get sugary and faceted. So a bit of skier compaction really, really helped. And I think that was a huge factor in the quality of the event we had.
Now, was that a new predetermined strategy to work the face and to tailor the face for the event?
I don't know if it was specifically for the event or if it was just that it worked out that way. They closed it 30 days ago, but previous to that, it was open way more. And I think that's just because the coverage was decent. And yeah, I think they actually had a bit of foresight in getting it open and getting some people on it, because it really makes a huge difference. Where when we're on the coast or Verbier or whatever, where the snowpack has a little bit more moisture in it, it doesn't need that skier compaction to make it actually functional. But in this area, it was critical, and maybe they'll take away from that and kind of figure that like into the plan going forward, because it was good.
Yeah, right on. And you can see it. I talked to, I believe, Lena Kohler, who ended up going on that skier's right side. And she was like, "This snow was amazing over there. It was like fantastic, pow and light." And, like you were mentioning, not that many people took that right line, the rider's right line this year along the ridge, the cornice. So it's interesting to see what happens with whom each year. So let's dive right into it. Snowboard women. First place, Michaela Davis Meehan in 81.33, Anna Martinez in 78. And in third place, Erin Sauvé with a 71.67. Now, I got to tell you, it's great to see Michaela win an event here. She's been grinding for years and years. She's stoked to do this. Like, she loves the sport. But I think that she kind of has deserved this one. She's had the potential that she's just been almost there so many times. So for her to put it all together, fantastic.
Well, yeah, man. And the last time we were on Ozone, she won. So I think one of the coolest things about the Kicking Horse Pro is the trophy that you get is this sick Lee jean jacket, and it's got the patches all the way down the arm with the names of the winners. And there's only one other person that has their name on there twice, and that's Marion Erti. So now Michaela is in seriously rare air with 2 wins at Kicking Horse, sharing that with, really the Freeride World Tour queen. And in the field right now, like, she owns Ozone. She has not lost on Ozone. So pretty sick for her to come back from basically 2 crashes back to back in Spain and France to come here to Canada. And while she's Australian, she spends a lot of time in Revy, which is just over the Rogers Pass from here. So really cool to see Michaela like put the pieces together, light it up. Like, she is a very, very good snowboarder, and especially in the air, and double especially when it's powder. That's where she really rises up. And so to see her take the win again here is sick. Like, she's jumped from way down at the bottom of the rankings up into well above the cut. She's now in 3rd overall for snowboard women. So that's a huge jump with a victory here at Kicking Horse. And I just love to see it because she's so good on her board.
Absolutely. The big stomped air, another air, deep pow right in the center, another air, super smooth through the chute. Like, absolutely fantastic run from her. Great to see it. And yes, Kicking Horse has, without question, the best trophies on the Freeride World Tour. No question.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
That sweet jacket, the hockey stick. I don't know if they did maple syrup this year, but usually they do.
Yeah, it might have been a bit cold. I mean, yeah, in Feverburn they give you a rock, Which I think is really hard for the riders to get home with. They're like, oh, cool, like a 40-pound rock with a plaque on it. So the rider's getting a hockey stick and a jean jacket with the patches all the way down the arm. It's so cool, especially with all the previous winners on it. It's such a great Canadian thing. Yeah, for sure my favorite trophy on the tour by a mile.
Right on.
A kilometer.
Okay, yes, nice. Next up, Ana Martinez with 78 with another smooth run. Really, once again, just establishing herself as, leading part of the leaders of the new wave of these riders. Great top air, super smooth through the middle of the face. Just doing what she does. Like, she's a very consistent rider. You don't expect, some riders you see and it's either an adventure, it's either all or nothing. With her, you're expecting consistency, and she delivered again.
Yeah, Anna's so strong, like physically strong. I mean, obviously the mental and psychological part of it is there as well, but physically so strong. When things get haywire and hectic and rowdy, which Kicking Horse is kind of known for, that's when she shines. And maybe it's Chamonix, maybe it's the fact that she's like a pro CrossFitter, probably all of the above. But
she is.
Yeah. She's a like a CrossFit competitor. So it shows in her riding, like that kind of strength, conditioning, all of that. It lights up. The rowdier it gets, the better Anna gets. And she lit it up today. It was fun to watch her ride. Really consistent, really fall line approach, super smooth, fast. It's one of the things I think that we're seeing, in the snowboard women's category right now, that fall line aggressive approach, right? They're pointing it. They're keeping the board pointed downhill. Obviously, you got to redirect where you need to change direction, but there's not a lot of like slowing down, right? Just keeping it pointed, firing off the ends of stuff. And Ana Martinez, like you said, right at the sharp end of that group that's kind of bringing this thunderous approach to the snowboard women's category. And I'm a huge fan of it because it's so much fun to watch, especially when the snow's good.
Yeah, absolutely. In third, Erin Sauvé with a 71.67. It's nice to see Erin back on the podium. I was starting to think maybe she was suffering the sophomore slump, winning the tour in her rookie season, and then coming into this year thinking, okay, I did it. I know what this is. But then kind of being humbled the first couple events.
Yeah, crashing. I mean, she crashed in both comps, and we didn't see her fall much outside of the first comp last year in Verbier, the restage in Verbier. But Erin kind of showed her hand again, and I'd be nervous if I was Noemi, Anna, Michaela, Audrey. Those are the riders on the good side of the cut right now, because Erin did this last year. Started soft, and then the slow burn with the huge finish, right? She just got better and better and better and better. And right now we're looking in snowboard women. So the cut is at 4. Audrey Hebert is in 4th with 14,000 points. And Erin Sauvé is in 3rd with 13,000 points. You get 10,000 for a win. So Erin has started the slow burn again, right? And she still has 2 more events to go before the cut. So plenty of opportunity to put down some banger runs. And Georgia and Fieberbrunn. I mean, Fieberbrunn is a happy hunting ground for Erin Sauvé, punting off the Heusel Cliff last year. I'd be nervous if I was any of those riders ahead of her in the rankings right now, because I think she's just starting to flare up. So we could see Erin Sauvé on a real quick rise as we go forward. Obviously, every one of these snowboarders is awesome at it. So who's to say what's going to happen? You still got to go do it. But today we saw proper Erin relative to the other events where she just had some pretty tough crashes.
Keep your eyes on the rear view mirror. It's almost like it's like the T1 in Terminator 2, just coming for you.
Never look back.
So that's snowboard women. The overall standings currently for snowboard women are. Do you have those in front of you right there?
Yeah. So right now, Noemi Aki is holding down the top spot. She's less far ahead than she was. Today wasn't quite her day, but she is still. Yeah, she is still. Yeah, exactly. With a bit of a stumble, The first time we've seen her kind of put a foot out of place. So she's on 23,120. Anna Martinez in second. Michaela Davis-Meehan jumping way up from far down the rankings into third overall with the win. And Audrey Hebert, she had a tough one. It was cool, like front flip right out of the gate directly at the top. Like it was pretty sick. It didn't quite work out. And then the rest of her run, she just looked a bit scrambled. So she's still in fourth, but Erin Sauvé is just behind, and Nuria and Estelle are not that far behind. So I'd say wide open in the snowboard women for that cut. And if things keep being a little mixed weather in the snowboard women, then we could see some big shuffles as we go into Georgia and Austria.
Right on. And it's really fun to watch this year. They've really stepped up their game, snowboard women, and they're exciting to see it's exciting to see what's happening.
Oh yeah,
I'm all
super
for it.
Fun to watch.
All right, so snowboard men, Victor wins again, 88-67. If he lands on his feet, he wins. Apparently, he's won 6 of the last 8 events he's been in. Like that's an unbelievable run. Yeah, I don't know if it's ever been done before.
Yeah,
we'd have to go dive deep into the stats page, but like 6 of the last 8 events he's taken.
Yeah, I think if you want to see stats like that, you're going to be looking at Marion. That's probably the only person on the tour that has run the table like that. And so Victor just, following the footsteps of his countrywoman, just lighting it up. I mean, he had an uncharacteristic, basically like flop over in Val Thorens. Maybe the hometown pressure getting the best of him. But he came back firing today, and there was no mistake. Like you can look a little further down the rankings, and if you want to get into the nuances of the judging and be like, oh, that guy should have been ahead of that guy or whatever, but Victor won that by like nobody's contesting that.
No, exactly. He was like almost 10 points ahead of second place. Holden Samuels, great to see him put down a great run as well. Big floaty 360, nice and smooth through that middle closeout. Really, really great to see him on the podium again. He's a great snowboarder. Hasn't had a lot of success in the last year or so. So it's really cool to see him back on podium.
I'm fired up for Holden. I was watching tape of the Kicking Horse event last year, and and then the same kind of thing from Val Thorens just before this event. He has a tendency to just go way too big. He doesn't have a brake pedal on the snowboard, and the way he chose his line in this comp at Kicking Horse allowed for that. He chose airs that had long landings, so he could just pin it right off the end of stuff at full speed and not run out of transition. So, first of all, great scoping from Holden to give himself the ability to do what he likes to do or has to do. I don't know what it is about his riding, but that's the way he rides, which I really appreciate. As a Freeride fan, I really like that full throttle approach, but he gave himself the opportunity for that to work, where in France last week and at Kicking Horse last year on T1 South, where it was more of a benchy venue, it didn't work because he would just sail over the transitions and out into the flats and just pancake himself in the parking lot. So it was really cool to see Holden, embrace or continue to embrace the full throttle approach that just is his trademark, his signature, and put it in a place where it's functional, right? Where it works. He doesn't have to slow down. I love to see it, and so stoked to see him on the podium. He's an awesome guy and such a good rider.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Third place, a guy who's no stranger to Kicking Horse, John Powell. John Powell is just so consistent. Like, I don't know if he's just such a mild-mannered guy, but his riding is so smooth. But do you think he's underrated?
I don't know, because I rate him super highly.
Right.
I put.
But do you think outside of like you and me and other people?
He might be. I put John Penfield in the Jekyll and Hyde category because the way he is, his personality versus his riding, he is gnarly on his snowboard. Like the stuff that he does is next level gnarly, right? I mean, that double that he did today, airing off the cornice, and he barely had time to touch down before he was straight off the second step into a 360. That's not a mellow guy thing, right? That was off the hook gnarly. And he does that every time. And he's got tricks, like he can easily spin both ways. He went way, way, way out Looker's left. And the part of his run that was featured was short in vertical, but heavy on action, right? It was bang, 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 and then he's done and he's riding out. And I kind of wondered, he dropped first and I saw the score and I was like, I feel like that was a bit low. But then because it was the first rider, the judges are setting a benchmark and then the other riders are either above or below. And I totally agree with Holden and Victor being above and everybody else below. I think they got the ranking right. But I looked at the number and I was like, okay. But then it just, it shapes and scales the rest of the category on the first guy. But yeah, to full Jekyll and Hyde, like there's a monster inside John Penfield, but if you have a conversation with him, he's mild mannered, he's very calm, he's crazy smart. He can lose you in a conversation in about 2 seconds if you get him talking about enzyme science. But he's just like a lovely, gentle, mild mannered guy. But as soon as he drops in on the gate, like he's so creative with his lines and he is like really badass. Yeah, he may be underrated. I don't think we underrate him, but if you're not like really tuned into the Freeride World Tour, you might. But I mean, he's been on the podium at every comp so far and he's sitting in second overall. So if you're sleeping on this guy, don't, because that's dumb.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So that rounds out the top three. A notable, one of the notables was Conrad Niven. Just took off that there was a cliff that usually the second or third cliff kind of through that center zone that he kind of just went a little off angle and ended up landing on a tree. It looked gnarly. He got up, rode right away. Pretty crazy to see. But the best part was he got to the bottom. Brett Tippy went over and interviewed him. And the first thing he said was, "It's a bad day to be a shrubbery." Just straight, pure Kiwi style. He dropped another. He said something else after that too, but it was hilarious. But I was too busy laughing at the shrubbery to remember it. But just pure Kiwi wit. Happy-go-lucky. It's not my day. Bad day to be a shrubbery. Everybody in the crowd was like cracking up at like you know what, he's like at the bottom of the field today, but still having a great time. Love having guys like that, especially with a sense of humor. I wouldn't expect anything less from Kiwi.
Conrad's a beauty. That was scary. I mean, we got to see the replay. I mean, his trajectory was just completely miscalculated. He went wrong. Yeah, wrong angle, and it was like back first into the tree. So I guess good thing he has a back protector and a backpack with a shovel and everything in there. Yeah, that was kind of scary, but I mean, classic Conrad to just shake it off like that. Bad day to be a shrubbery.
Bad day to be a shrubbery, man. That's going to be one of those sentences that just sticks in my brain for like the rest of my life. I'll be walking by like somebody doing landscaping or something. I'll be like, "Ooh, bad day to be a shrubbery."
All right, so taking a look here at the snowboard men's overall, Victor De La Rue taking back over the golden bib from his good buddy Enzo Nilo. Enzo, it wasn't his day today. Had a strong run going, but couldn't quite put it all together. So Victor in first overall, John Penfield in second. Not so far behind, 5,000 points, 4,000 points, give or take. And then Enzo on 16,795. Remy Benamo, Michael Mon, rounding out the top five. And then down at the cut, you got Holden jumping up onto the good side, Camille Armand just on the downhill side, but by quite a bit. Holden Samuels is sitting on 11,000 points. Camille Armand is sitting on 7,800. So that's the line right now. 2 comps to go. Of course, anything can happen going to Georgia and Fieberbrunn, but we're starting to see a bit of a separation in the field here in snowboard men.
Interesting. I like when there's like a battle for either the top spot or a podium spot or that cut spot. It makes things a lot more interesting. So I think we might have to keep looking at that top spot. We'll see if Victor falls next week. If he doesn't, well, we know what happens.
Yeah, then we know where he's going to be.
We know what happens. All right, moving on into ski women. Molly Armanino finally gets her win. I yelled on the mic during the event. always the bridesmaid, never a bride until today. She's finished in second place more than once. And this is Molly's first win. She's had a lot to deal with in her life in the last couple of years. So it's really, really exciting to see her put this down. And especially after seeing the last two events. The last two events didn't look like classic Molly runs to me. I think she was overthinking them. And it just didn't seem like they were her traditional runs. I was like, that didn't look like a true Molly run to me, those last two. Today did. Huge, really fast. I think her run was over in like 15, 20 seconds. Couple of huge airs, stomping them fast through that pepper through the middle, which was pretty phenomenal. What did you think of her run?
I loved it. I mean, we typically get like 5 to 10 seconds to introduce the riders when they're in the start gate, talk about where they're from and what they like and what their favorite color, whatever. And they brought the camera up to the start gate and Molly was already flying out of it. Amy and I were like, duh. Like, look, she was already almost flying off her third air before we caught up and picked our jaws up off the floor. And that middle feature that we saw a lot of the guys hit, Molly took that so deep. Like that might have been the biggest air in ski women today. I mean, obviously I don't want to make that claim, but it was definitely up there and certainly one of the cleanest stomped airs in ski women. It was sick. That run was classic Molly. And I'm so happy to just see her embrace what she's awesome at. There's been a few conversations that different people have had with Molly over the last like week and a half, leaving France and then coming here. Like, let's just do what you're good at. What she did today is exactly what she's good at.
Absolutely.
Full throttle, just roasting off the nose of everything. Watching the way she skis, like the actual technical makeup of her turns, like fuck, she
Strong
is such a good skier.
Yeah.
Such a good skier. The technique is on point, and today she just embraced it, and I was so happy to see her get rewarded for it. No stumbles, no tumbles, no crashing, nothing. Just classic textbook Molly Armanino, and rocketing way up the rankings with a win here at Kicking Horse. It was cool, like seeing her connect with one of the judges, Jacqueline Pollard, at the end, because Jacqueline also has her name on that Kicking Horse winner's jean jacket. So Molly was pretty hyped to add her name to that. It was great. That run was just textbook, and it was so fast. That's what she's good at. Yeah, it was fantastic, and I'm just really happy for her because she has been overthinking. She gets in her own head. She can tend to spiral about things. So yeah, huge congrats to Molly.
Right on. And so I caught up with Molly and had a little conversation with her, and I'm going to play that for you right now. Molly Armanino, congratulations. You have your first win
Thank you.
on the Freeride World Tour, and you did it at the place that has the best trophies.
Yes, I know. Yeah, if there was only one win to be had, it would be this one.
Yeah,
I would choose this one every time.
You got this sick, like
Sickest
sheep
jacket.
line, like leather denim jacket with everybody's name on it.
And apparently, like, the previous winners, it was just one jacket, and the previous winners kept taking them, so they ended up just giving them to the winners.
I remember. I actually told them the first year, I'm like, just make a new one every year because you're not getting those back because they're so cool. But you won. You've come in second a couple times. This is your first win. Tell me about your run.
I wanted to keep it simple, and I just felt I didn't want to I felt like the previous two comps, I was overthinking it, just trying to decide what to do, which lines to ski, and just like kind of got a little lost. And then so this time I was like wanted something a little more straightforward and a little more like at ease mentally. So I didn't know if the transfer up top was gonna work, but I saw Victor do it and he took it the same way that I thought I could take it. So I was like, I thought that was a sign. So I'm glad I did it. And yeah, I wish I did. I was meant to do I meant to hit the double as a triple, but
didn't need to, apparently.
Yeah, I guess it's unnecessary. So
were you able to see their runs from the top, or did you watch it on like someone's phone?
The snowboard lines. I was able to see it at the top of stairwell. So, and I knew Victor was going third, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna get up there so I can see him. And I saw him, and it was super easy for him. So I was like, if he can, and he threed it. I'm like, okay, well, if he can three that, I can 100% straighter that. So yeah.
And then so you get to the bottom of your run. As you're cruising up to the corral, what are you feeling? Are you like, oh my god, that's amazing? Did you think you had a chance to win when you finished your lap?
To be honest, no. I wasn't like crazy underwhelmed, but I wasn't like, holy shit, that was the craziest thing ever. I was kind of like, okay, well, I'm glad I did I'm glad I at least did the transfer thing. But yeah, I was surprised when I got, especially because so many people were cheering for Lily. I honestly, in my heart, I was kind of rooting for Lily Bradley because she's one of my favorites. So. Well,
I'm going to talk to Lily in a moment because she has a wild story about skiing in her mom's ski boots today.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a bit. But you've gone through a lot in the last couple of years. Personally, things in your life. What does a win like this mean to you?
That's a good question. I'm trying not to overthink it. I mean, yeah, Sam would have been my first call, and he would have been right there watching it with my dad. So I think it's disappointing to not do so well, but it's almost like it almost hurts a little more to do well sometimes. So yeah, I'm like, well, I'll never win. I'll cry if I suck, and I'll cry if I win. So.
Well, he's there watching you.
Yeah.
And he's behind you.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, and also I have to say, nice work on the shoe with the ski boot here. We're down at the we're down at the bottom of the kicking horse, right out front of the double black, and you just did a full on shoey with your ski boot.
For Mike Emmett, shout out Mike Emmett.
Right on. Well, congratulations on your first win, Molly.
Thanks,
well deserved.
Mark.
We'll see you soon.
All right. I love you, buddy.
I love you too, bud.
I'll see you soon.
Likewise. All right. Well, big congrats to Molly Armanino. Stoked for you. In second place, we had Jenna Keller. Her first podium on the Freeride World Tour. We've talked about this before, is like she was competing because she enjoyed it. She figured she was just going to do one more year and stop. Ended up on the tour. I think she doesn't realize how good a skier she is. We've talked about this. She's an examiner in Switzerland for skis. She's a ski instructor examiner. She's been riding with the head free ski team in the Beyond film, which she could easily do. And now she's on the podium at the Freeride World Tour with an amazing run. She went on that right side down the ridge, boosted off the cornice, right into a big cliff, and then right into another double, and then held on. Like she got it. Like you have to be a good skier to be able to hold on. She came out of there quick, a little back seat, didn't sit down, lost her pole. Pole hit the ground and flipped up through the air. They actually show on the replay. They slowed it down. You can see the pole like flipping over her head as she's like bringing herself back up. Just another really fast, solid run attacking that slope.
Yeah, that run to me was the first time we've seen the real Jenna Keller this year on the Freeride World Tour. Her skiing is so on point. The technique is so good. The left footer to get over to that double. There's not a ton of women in the ski women's field that could have made that turn. To load up that downhill ski and actually get over there and make that next air, that's not easy, right? And it takes balance. It takes it takes all the things that go into the technical side of skiing. That was so good, and I was just really, really happy to see Jenna put down a run. I mean, she cruised through the challengers last year. Her and Lena Kohler, really dominated. There wasn't really it wasn't that close with the rest of the field. And those two just lit it up. And I'm so happy to see her put a run to her potential or at her potential here on the Freeride World Tour. And to see it land her on the podium. She went from last overall to 6th and on the good side of the cut in one event. That's huge, right? And so for Jenna to do that's just fantastic. Like you said, she's an examiner in the ski instructing world, but I just love that for her because she's been struggling. She had 2 weird crashes. One sliding, basically getting inside and sliding down the whole face in Spain on her back, and then a little bit of an error in judgment with slough management in France and getting her feet blown out from under her and then kneeing herself in the face because she wasn't going fast enough, and rocking, a pretty solid black eye all the way into this event. But man, what a great return to form for Jenna. So still 2 events to go, plenty of mileage left on the clock before the cut, and really, really solid return to form for Jenna.
Absolutely. And you mentioned in there Lena Kohler, 3rd place was 77.67. She started off on that rider's right side, skiing down the ridge, and she went way down the ridge. I thought she was skiing back to the Eagle's Eye Lodge for lunch or something like that. She almost went all the way back, jumped in with 2 huge airs in her run, and really solid. I had to go back and watch it because we didn't know where she was. We were looking around, and all of a sudden we looked over and she was already bombing out from after launching her air. So we had to watch that again. And really great to see from her, the peak performance rider, Lena Kohler. And she said that the snow over there was fantastic. She said it was I talked to her at the end of the day, and she said it was like pow. She said it was absolutely fantastic, better than most of the snow she'd been skiing this week or the last few days here. That didn't expect it, but she said it was awesome.
I'm so impressed with Lena Kohler. She's a rookie. She's not crazy young. She's not, one of these childhood phenoms that are popping onto the tour at 19 years old. But she's so aggressive on her skis and in her line choices. And she's new to the tour this year. She had a crash being effectively too aggressive at the top of her run in Spain. And now she has 2 podiums. Bang, bang, bang. What a start to a Freeride World Tour career. She's been on the podium twice in 2 events. And the people that she's behind in the overall rankings are Justine Dufour-Lapointe, Astrid Chelus, and Molly Armanino. You're behind a trio of gangsters, and she is nipping at their heels. It's sick. She's brand new to this tour, but she is not riding like a rookie, and I love to see it. She's super confident in her skiing. That ski racing background, the technique is on point, but I really appreciate her fall line approach. She doesn't poke off the side of anything. She takes it fall line, head on. She only had 2 airs in her line, but both of them were huge. And like you said, Mark, the snow over there was nice. So she was able to step up the amplitude on those features and pump off these huge cliffs into powder, bolts stomping. I mean, you're the peak performance team manager. You're looking at this and be like, okay, we are in good shape here. We lost Hedvig off the tour, but she's off doing other stuff. But we got Lena now. It's sick to watch her ski, and her approach to it is just so aggressive and so strong. It's really fun to watch this young athlete kind of climb the FWT ladder.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to be excited to kind of see how those 2, like I said, they were kind of back and forth. They're good friends, but they're back and forth on the come up. But now they're here battling for podium spots. Okay, so a notable in ski women I want to bring up is Lily Bradley. Lily had an absolutely phenomenal run. Got that crowd fired up. One of the first riders, ski women riders, if not the first rider of the day. Really technical line, couple big drops, and then found that little spot at the bottom, that buttress at the bottom, and absolutely launched into it, stomped it on her mom's ski boots.
Lily lost her boots on the way here. I don't know, airport travel. They lost their boots. That's kind of classic Lily Bradley. They're running a loose show at the best of times, but in the best possible way. But yeah, they had to. So a different pair of boots each day for the last 2 days. Tried some rental boots, then tried some Lang plug boots. Lily said absolutely not. Especially minus 25. Could not flex them even a millimeter. And then just landed on riding in their mom's boots. Good enough. Yeah, cool. That bottom air was so sick. So sick. It was huge and stomped. And we saw other people struggle there, ski men included. So Lily Bradley just punting off that thing, landing themselves in 5th overall, which is a testament to the strength of this field, that run was a 5th place run. I loved it. I mean, classic
Pretty-
Lily, like tons of style, and then such a huge send at the bottom, and like stomped.
Yeah, absolutely stumped. And like those boots are fairly soft. So I spoke to Lily about that specifically at the bottom as well. I was kind of hanging out there having a beer. A bunch of the athletes were cruising by. I'm like, I'm going to ask them about this. So we talked about this. So this is what she had to say about her boot fiasco. All right, Lily Bradley, you had probably one of my favorite runs of the day. You opened up a whole new zone, absolutely sent it. Skied a line like I know you can. Everyone was fired up. It was early in the comp. People were losing their minds because it helped them warm up. You were actually doing them a favor. You were helping everybody stay warm. But you have a wild story about that line and some of your gear. Please share.
Yeah, I lost my boots in transit. Emphasis on I lost them, not the airplane. I just left my boots in the overhead bin on the airplane. So I had no ski boots for this comp. So I spent one day inspecting on 90 Flex rental boots, and then I spent another day on 130 Flex World Tours. What are they called?
I have no idea.
Like the stiffest boots known to man. And then both of those didn't work. So I actually hit up my mom, who was at this comp, and I borrowed my mom's 105 Dalbellos. Super soft. Very, very comfortable. Some of the most comfortable boots I've ever worn, probably because they were so soft. Yeah, and definitely you could feel like after the it's like it like whomp, like bottoming out, you know, like a shock just going all the way to the bottom. But yeah, shout out to my mom and her 105 Flex Dalbellos.
Oh my God! So you're kind of like Goldilocks.
Yeah, finding
too soft, too stiff, just right.
Just right.
So,
yeah.
so you know, you had a great comp, and you had that massive air at the bottom. Absolutely stomped it. Like I said, they kind of flexed to the bottom and out, but you held on. That's just a testament to how good a skier you are. So, like, that's bonkers to me. Like, to have somebody else's boots. We talk about this all the time on this show, on my other show. Ski boots are the most important thing to have.
It's like number one.
Yeah.
It's the one thing that's irreplaceable.
The sponsor of this show is Surefoot, which is a ski boot company.
Yeah.
Because having a boot that doesn't fit or doesn't work, it can make or break your day. It could be the worst day of ever. So you go and are sampling random people's boots and still put down a run like that. That's phenomenal to me.
Thank you so much. Was my skiing the best it's ever been? No. But did the boots take the hit and do the 20-footer? Yeah. So shout out to my badass mom and her badass boots.
Fantastic. Shout out your mom. And like unironically, shout out your mom.
Yeah.
And congratulations on persevering and getting through challenges.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you so much. And let's go have some fun tonight.
Yeah.
All right. And then lastly, Justine Dufour-Lapointe finished in 4th overall, but it could have been much worse. In that exact same spot we were just talking about Lily sending off the cliff, Justine went through, and I don't know what happened there. She got caught up and looked like she was doing that like snake slide back and forth. Like she ended up going backwards and then managed to like pull it back around and then salvage. Did you find out what happened to her there?
Yeah. So you guys, because you're at the bottom, you're watching it live, you don't get quite the same details we get watching on the monitor. Justine, on the entry, hooked her uphill ski on a little tree, like a small,
chicken head kind of thing.
Yeah. Like just the poking up head of a little pine tree or spruce tree or something. And it grabbed her ski and tossed it straight uphill. So she essentially entered that bottom air completely backwards. The thoughts that flash through everybody's mind of rolling into that couloir that ends in a cliff switch, insane. Like I got to give Justine credit for athleticism, for coordination, for mental fortitude, for all of those things, for actually recovering from that and managing to get herself pointing downhill. For sure, she didn't go off the part of that cliff that she wanted to go off, but just recovering and surviving was incredible. And then like salvaging a 4th place run, the backflip at the top was so cool.
Yeah.
Opened that feature up that we saw Carl and Christopher and multiple others use to backflip. She opened it up for the whole squad with the flip, perfect execution, and then came into that. And yeah, she had one ski on the good side and one ski on the bad side of the tree, and it clipped her tip and just flipped her ski uphill, so it was pointing tip up, tail down. That was disaster averted by a hair, and I'm so happy that she didn't get pumped down that thing backwards, because that would have sucked.
Yeah, no doubt. So that's ski women. What is the overall for ski women right now?
So with Astrid Chelus crashing, Justine Dufour-Lepointe takes over sole ownership of the Golden Bib with 23,120. Astrid Chelus still in second and right in touch at 18.85. Molly Armanino launching up the standings into third with 16.55. So it's really close at the top there. And as we move into these next events, Georgia and Fieberbrunn, we'll see there's opportunities, I'd say, for like Justine and Astrid will say a bit more focused on the freestyle. Molly focused on the absolute just haywire gnar. Both of those things are totally in play in Georgia, so it could go either way. Cannot wait to see it. Ari Chacomi, didn't quite have her day today. She's dropped down a bit out of third. Lena Kohler into fourth. And then the cut right now, Zuza Vitek on the good side, Elizabeth Gerritsen on the downhill side, but it's all very close. Zuza's in at 8,900 points, and Elizabeth and Lily are on 78.65 just on the downhill side, and Taylor only 5 points behind that, and just 60 points behind that Chloe Hare. So it's so tight all the way down to 11th. Only 7 go through, but down to from 7th to 11th is essentially tied. So we're going to see a lot of shakeouts in that ski women, and I mean there's a ton of talent there all the way down the field. So let's see who's able to put their day together as we move on to Georgia and Austria.
Now, I haven't talked to any of the riders about this, but are they looking at these numbers and knowing where they are in the standings, knowing I got to put something down?
Some of them are, some of them aren't. I'll use a couple of the ski men as an example. Simon Perrodin, Tom Pfeiffer, and Maxime Chablot. Coming into this event, they were well, you know what? Actually, forget about ski men because we're on ski women. Jenna Keller was in that position. She was last with 2 crashes. She knew that. She knew she had to put a run down. Now, there's different strategy options when you're in that situation. You can go buck and aim for the podium, or you can say, all right, I need a keeper result, a mid-pack result that I can build on. Jenna loved the approach, went buck, and landed herself in second place, right? So it's climbing right out of the basement and onto the good side of the cut. For sure they know. I mean, the only people who don't look at these overall standings are the judges. And they do that on purpose because they don't want to have any idea what any rankings or single event results will do to the standings. So they never, ever, ever look at the overall standings because for them, they don't even subconsciously, they don't want that to kind of float into their brain when they're making judging decisions. But for sure, the riders know. And then you're sitting on that strategy teeter-totter going, all right, do I do a safe run and just get a keeper finish? Or do I aim for the podium and just light it up? Every one of these riders in every single category can put a podium run together. They're all capable of that, no doubt. But execution is hard, right? Different snow conditions. Of course, you got a field full of other people who are trying to kick your ass. So it's not easy, but you have to make a decision before you drop out of the start gate of which one it's going to be. And so, yeah, for sure they know. And then it's in the ball's in their court on the way they approach it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's ski women. Speaking of getting buck, holy smokes, let's talk about a couple of these runs. Marcus Gogan.
Wow.
Wins at Kicking Horse. Now, I talked to him yesterday, and he told me that he was sick as a dog and feeling like garbage. I did not expect this from him today, but that just shows you how much that I know.
He was gray at the opening ceremonies. Gray. He looked like a corpse. He like everybody else is standing. He's sitting down, like he's got his bib kind of half over his face. Yeah, the Freeride flu has hit hard. Liam Rivera, Elizabeth Gerritsen, Timo Rolshoven didn't even show up today. He was so sick. Marcus, another one. Like the flu is just roasting through the tour competitors. It's exhausting. Like the jet lag, travel. You're exposed to all these germs in all these planes. You're not sleeping right. So a bunch of them have just been leveled by this sickness. I am so impressed with Marcus that he managed to do that. I guess if we can, I don't know, level this out a little bit, at least Ozone is kind of short. So you're not working that hard for that long. And especially when you ski like that. But that run was outrageous. That was video game mode.
That was classic Marcus Goguen, adventure time. That's what he does. Every run of his is an adventure. I'll say it every single week because it's just what it is. That's 720 in like above the NAR. And
Yeah.
I love that zone. It makes me think of like the eagle, sort of like this, like a little version of the eagle, because you're landing, you're going in hot, and you have no choice but to point it as fast as you possibly can. We saw Abel, who was in second place with a 90-point run. I was like, everybody pay attention. The Abel is a front flip guy. And then sure enough, boom, big front flip. And then gets into that next cliff and like basically the speed was controlling him. He wasn't controlling his speed, in my opinion. And he just ran with it.
I am the speed, Randy.
I am the speed. So like, but let's get, before we get to like the top three were just amazing. So Marcus's run, it separates him even from the rest of like the Freeride World Tour athletes. Like he's a special kid. Like he's just like, I'm speechless watching a run like that, seeing how like out of it he was last night, and then watching that run, just being like, holy cow! Like the kid is so strong, just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
He gave the sickness some credit for his run too, because he said he was so focused on how horrible he felt. He didn't have time to second guess his line choice. He didn't have time to be nervous. He was dying on the hike. He said he was just coughing his guts out, got up to the top and was just like, and then they're like, it's your time to go. And he just went, he didn't think, he wasn't nervous. There was nothing. He just went down. That down the pipe cork 7. So down the pipe means you're spinning the opposite direction that the takeoff kicks you. He loves that. For most people, that's counterintuitive
to
counterintuitive
anything, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, like you kind of want to, I know I feel this way as a skier, like popping alley-oop to the takeoff. Like if I'm spinning, I'm certainly not doing cork 7s, but spinning a 360, like getting that alley-oop shape to it feels a little bit easier. But Marcus loves those down the pipe spins, and doing the cork 7, like going for the capped blunt grab on the tail. I'm not sure if he locked in on it. It kind of looked in the first pass like he did, and then in the replay, Amy kind of called me out and was like, I'm not going to give him that grab. But anyway, he reached for it. The control that he had out of that to then just point it off the nose of the bottom feature and roast off there. Every single thing about that was just textbook Freeride. He is part of this new generation that has the turns, the technique, the tricks, the boldness, the bravery, all of it. Right? He's just him. And I mean, I'm not going to go through the list because all of those, they all, but
it's all day.
It's outrageous. It's so cool to watch him and to win at home. We thought we were seeing a bit of history repeating. So Marcus is sitting down there in the hot seat, and then we watched Mathis Fornacier launching towards the Rodney Pyramid, sail a big backflip off it. And I was like, oh, no way, again. Mathis wasn't able to hold on to it, and Marcus was able to kind of fend off all the challengers. But there was a moment there where I was like, wow, this could just be the same thing again. Hitzig did it to Marcus a couple years ago, where he had a blistering run and then a backflip off the pyramid. I mean, that's undeniable. That thing is so big and so gnarly. To flip it.
We could get into that too. Like last time we saw him do that, that was still kind of a novelty. Like, holy smokes, this has never been done before, right? Marcus's run he does that all the time, but it's still so impressive. Where we could debate this probably tonight over a beer at the party, whether that backflip still beats Marcus's run. I don't know if it does.
I'm not sure either. That's a really good point because it is. I mean, the 3 off the cornice and then the double on the way in there, like that's solid free ride, right? And then that single move win. I don't know. We saw it. I've seen that in years past where Mikel Bimbos taking on the channel gap in Fieberbrunn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then in later years, other people doing it, it kind of loses its wow factor. I wouldn't say I don't necessarily put those two things in the same category because that cliff is still enormous. I don't know. I don't know what the judges would have done with it if Matisse landed that, but he didn't, so it doesn't matter, and we don't need to worry about it.
It's still no less impressive, though.
Yeah. It's an outrageous move and so committing to do. But Marcus Goguen, every one of these challengers, he fended him off. He sat in that hot seat for ages, sick as a dog, just green and coughing but cheering. I loved when they panned to Marcus, when Toby and Ross and Martin Bender and Valley were skiing. He's as engaged in these runs as any fan because he's a fan, right? He loves every one of those dudes and he loves watching them. He wants them to stomp their runs. It's just so cool to watch him like cheer for the ones that are stomped and cover his eyes for the ones that crash. Like you're sitting in that hot seat and yeah, for sure you want to win. But I mean, you could see him when Toby crashed and when Bender crashed, he was like, no, like he wants to see the whole thing put in the judges' hands. I think, that's what all of these riders want. Everybody stomps, the judges take care of it. But then the people online are going to complain and talk about who got robbed and whatever. So, but those people can suck it.
If it makes them happy, let them do it. And they can listen to us talk about it. Second place, Abel Moga, everybody's favorite guy who has such a crazy story on Freeride. It's all or nothing with Abel. It literally is all or nothing with Abel. And today was all. He was cruising across, and I was, as I mentioned, pay attention, he might do a front flip. Boom, right on cue. I was like, nice, big, huge front flip. Absolutely stomped it. Ends up hitting that other cliff, and then has so much speed, like the one we just mentioned, so much speed, launches off that thing with like the heat of 1,000 suns. Stomps it, lands it, rips out of there. The whole crowd was just like incensed. It was phenomenal to see him put that down.
Abel's energy is infectious, contagious, outrageous. He's so fun to watch, and when he's on, that's what you get. It's been a minute since Abel's been on the podium at a Freeride World Tour event. He was wildcarded on after the Bakira. He was an event wildcard, and they threw him a full season wildcard. So for him to bring that and find himself on the podium is so good. So it's good for Spanish Freeride. It's good for Abel. It's good for the fans.
Good for us watching.
Yeah, exactly. It's good for
who doesn't like to see a front flip. That's his signature now.
Yep, it is. He's done one in every single event this year, and in face check, I've checked in with him a couple of times. I'm like, so where's the front flip? And right away, there's no hesitation. He's not like, I'm not. He's like, oh, it's that one. It's the third air. I'll be turning left. Like it's not even a question. The Superman front flip, and he kind of kicked it off early in his career back in Verbier with the just like absolute haywire, like Kobe just run into the garbage can with a Superman front flip to the moon, and he's just. I love that he's embraced that because that is. Got to be one of the scariest tricks in skiing, especially big mountain skiing. You're completely blind. As soon as you tuck your chin and rotate, you're just hoping. It's fingers crossed, eyes closed, hoping that the rotation is correct for the amount of air that you've got in the transition. And then with the backflip, and like you said, the reckless abandon of full throttle off the last cliff. We saw that last cliff gobble people up too. That took a lot of people out, and Abel, no worries. You know when you don't crash? When you're pointed straight down the hill. Because there's no pressure buildup. You just wait. It was so sick to see Abel at his absolute potential. And he was happy almost to see Marcus do his run. He was like, well, I guess a cork 7 beats a backflip on that feature. But Abel with the 90, Marcus, is up to 96. Like he's so fired up to be on the podium. And these guys, like, they want each other to do well. They want each other to do their potential. But that run was so much fun to watch.
So awesome. Yeah. And then speaking of front flips,
Yeah.
Ben Richards. So I was talking to him the other day about where he was going to go. I wasn't so sure. Maybe thinking like Craig Murray's line along the ridge. But cruises through a couple of big airs, just like he does, and that big floaty, smooth as butter front flip to just perfect bolts, not a hair out of place as he does. Classic. That's becoming what he's known for, is just not being out of place, just being rock solid, but making it look easy. Like, he made that look easy. You just explained how hard it is to do a front flip. He made it look like it was the easiest thing in the world.
After Val Thorens, there was a ton of chatter online that Ben got robbed, and Ben was the first guy to say he didn't. He skied a very mellow line to its absolute maximum potential, and that's great. But he knew. I rode the chair out of the venue valley with him, and he's like, "Man, I think I just need I need more in my line. I need more meat on this bone." So he came here with a new mindset. You know, he was tossing around all kinds of crazy ideas. He was thinking of doing a front flip off the Rodney Pyramid. The way he executed that run, the 360 in, like, let's not lose the credit for that, because it's above a ton of exposure, and it leads itself into this lofty floating airplane turn that needs to be landed on the right foot to redirect, or you just miss your bottom feature, right? And without that next feature, that run is soft, right? I mean, like on the relative scale of ski men and Freeride World Tour. Laces that turn, and he has about 1.2 seconds to just lead with the chin and punt a front flip off that at 100 miles an hour and bring it around again, like we said with Abel, totally blind, boom, bolts and roast out of there, and then still catch that extra credit air at the bottom. That was so sick. Such classic Ben Richards skiing.
It was like watching a 747 land, just coming in nice go, landing gear, and then done. No problem.
The reality is, let's take the Hitzig backflip year out of it. Any other year, that wins. That's the winning run. But that's just the nature of the level of ski men right now. Still on the podium. And happy to be on the podium. Ben was stoked. He said he was in the start gate being like, am I really going to do this? Am I really going to toss a front? Am I Abel? You know, he said that. He, like, those guys hang out all the time.
He's like, am I allowed to do one?
Yeah. Like, can I take the move from the Spaniard? But he was worried about it. He was scared. And then after, he's like, that's what I need to feel if I'm gonna be in the mix here. I need to feel scared, because his smoothness transcends, right? It's so good. He's so freaking good at skiing. He makes everything look so easy. But he put a absolute masterclass of technical, bold sendery on for us today, and it was so much fun to watch. I love watching Ben ski.
All right, yeah, me too. So. So Parkin with line of the day, he wild carded up here from Montana, where he lives. Parkin Costain doing the Freeride World Tour this week instead of Kings and Queens of Corbett's, which is usually his jam, but it's this time of year, so it's cool to see him diversifying a little bit. But wow, what a crazy move!
You know, this to me was an example of how film skiers' line prep and comp skiers' line prep is actually quite similar. It's still visual inspection. Parkin hasn't competed since he was a junior, but he was a good junior, like IFSA junior competitor, but he hasn't competed since he was a kid. But what he's been doing, filming, still has prepared him to do this. Visual inspection, putting a line down, no second chances, lighting it up. He had a little bobble in the top, which obviously the judges dinged him on fluidity and control for. But then that move that he did, nobody else went over there. We haven't seen anybody go over there in years. And when we did, they kind of went click, click off that feature instead of punting off the top of that with a backflip. So Parkin rewarded by the Scott Amplify Your Vision Award. And I'm pumped to see Parkin. Like, he's really, really good at this. And I'm hoping maybe the hook is a little bit set for Parkin Costain to want to be a bit more involved in this. Because talking to him after, he was like, that was really fun. He hasn't competed since he was a kid, but he was a standout junior competitor. He went to Junior Worlds, and I think it was 2016 or 17 back in Andorra. And then, has had a really successful film career since then.
It'd be really cool to see that, because it's been a couple of years since we've had kind of a big film skier come on as a wild card with Tanner Hall and then Tim Durkee. I'd be down. Absolutely.
Yeah, a strong result for Parkin with a bobble and still having a very solid result and getting the line of the day. Like I'm hoping that kind of whetted his appetite for comp skiing, because I would love to see a full season wild card go that guy's way.
Right on. Another notable, Toby Rafford. That I don't like coming off the corners and then sending that. What was that?
Well, it was a Lincoln loop.
Like
a straight side flip directly over the top sideways.
So huge overexposure.
Yep.
Like it was.
And perfect.
It was unreal.
It was perfect. That top one was so perfect. And nobody else even looked at that. Like he was so fired up on skiing under the cornice in the barrel.
Yeah. Tippy was like, he's getting barreled.
Yeah, that was his whole plan. I had dinner with Toby last night, and he's like, I'm going to get so pitted. And, he's like dragging his hand on the inside of the cornice and then catches that little snow ramp, tosses that huge Lincoln loop side flip. Perfect execution. And then the next one, less perfect for sure. Under rotated.
You know what I think it was, though? I think the snow was different. I think the landing on the top one and the bottom one were very different. I think there was softer on the bottom than it was at the top. I may be wrong. I'll have to ask him.
I think the takeoff was softer too, because regardless of the condition of the landing, he was short on the rotation on the second one, which is wild, because you guys had the perfect view of it from the finisher area, the gap in his track on his second, his first air too, but on his second air from where he took off to where he landed was like I don't even know if we want to relate it to football fields or jumbo jets or whatever, but it was so far that he traveled. So my inclination is that he didn't have the stiffness in the takeoff that he needed to actually set the rotation, because to go that big and still short your rotation is pretty unusual. And Toby's a ninja in the air. Like he doesn't make a lot of mistakes in the air. But he definitely did not fully finish that rotation.
No. So, but I like that. I like that that kid's on the tour, man.
Yeah, and he won the peak performance radical moment for that one. So he got the silver cup. First guy to get the silver cup that isn't named Marcus Gogan this year. Yeah, in the last 3 comps actually, because Marcus won it in Verbier as well.
He's trying to get a set.
Yeah. A cutlery set.
Yeah. He sees that people come over like, which year do you want? Which comp do you want to drink out of? But yeah, I like having that guy. I chatted with him the other day. And he's a cool kid too. I actually I asked him about his second place on his first comp in Bakira, and if his sister, who won her first comp in Bakira, gave him some grief, like he gave him some crap, and he's like, yeah, she did. She chirped me for it a little bit for sure. I was like, she should.
Solid Freeride family, that one. I like it.
I also want to talk about 2 more really quick ones. Bender's gnarly 360 off the top there, right over he's the only guy that went in that spot.
Like 3 cliff bands. We saw John Penfield and a few others do the double going the other direction, but he hooked skiers left and took on that whole band. When he took off, the camera didn't even show the bottom of the cliff. So he's in the air, he's slowly rotating, and then as the camera shot pans down, it just keeps being cliff. It's like, wow, how big is that? Like, I never thought anybody would go there, and he went so far, and again stuck that one perfect, and then came undone on the hand drag 3 off the next feature. I would have been very, very interested to see what the judges did with that, because his whole line would have been just 2 features, but they were enormous. Yeah. Unfortunately for Bender, exploding on the second one didn't quite work out, but man.
Line score off the charts.
Off the charts, yeah. And the vision to see that, to look in an area where everybody else is like, well, we don't ski there. And him like, well, yeah, but I can just jump over all of it and I might as well spin. Futuristic moves from Martin Bender for sure. And it's, wow, like cool to see. Clearly you can see why he was junior world champ in 22, why he won his first event last week. Like, this guy he's got all the pieces for sure. And I think we're going to see him and a bunch of these others just like baffling us for years to come here on the Freeride World Tour.
I want to talk about Tenla Katsuno. I think he's going to start getting calls from the NHL because the save that he made was one of the greatest saves I've ever seen in my entire life.
And longest.
And yeah. So on that same, we got to come up for a name for that air. You know, it's an air into that closeout cliff that isn't, you know, a straight up and down cliff. It's kind of an extended, you know, cliff. Like Abel went like 60 feet from where he took off to where he landed.
Yeah, same with Marcus.
Same with Marcus. And then Tenla did the same thing, launched out on his back seat. Like, looks like he was shifting weight from one ski to the other. Like, the crowd, I'd like to see if we could hear the crowd noise from this, because he had to make 2 or 3 or more moves to keep his body over top of his ski, to keep his balance before he finally brought himself up. Crowd went crazy. Like, yeah, he made it. Like, nobody wants to see a crash. No one wants to see a crash. I'll say it again. Nobody wants to see a crash. But when someone almost crashes and then manages to pull it out of their hat and save the day, like, unreal. I think that was a bigger save than Justine.
Oh,
yeah. To be honest.
Yeah, totally. And it just lasted for so long. Tenla was just, he recovered this way, then he recovered that way, then he recovered the other way. His skis were bent into 2 J's, you know, riding only like the very back of the tails. Pulled it off. I don't think I used any words in the commentary there. I think I just made like sounds like like it was just like it lasted for so long, where he was like almost crashing for such a long time and then didn't crash. Yeah, I mean, never give up attitude. You gotta love the resilient mindset there from Tenla.
All right, so Ski Men, how did we? I just want to mention Valley Rayner had a great run today. Finished in 4th and was the last rider of the day. He told me some ideas of what he wanted to do, but he had a big run and ended it with a stomp. He put the period on that comp. His landing kind of reminded me a little bit of Max Palm. He's like not a short guy, like he's a fairly tall guy, but he just compacted so small. It almost looked like a cartoon where he just comes so tight and then pops right back up, like right solid, fully balanced. The crowd goes crazy. What a way to end the show.
Yeah, well, so you talk about the overall standings. Valley Rayner cementing himself on top. He's holding on to that golden bib with that run. You know, coming off a string of good results. He's got a second in France, and then he was 4th just off the podium here in Kicking Horse. Super solid. He's backing up his 2023 world title here and leading the charge. Marcus Gauguin rocketing up the standings. He went from 7th to 2nd in one event. So now 2 podiums in a row. Well, one of them, do you still call it a podium if you win? I guess you do. You're on the podium. But now, so Valley is sitting with 23,200. Marcus on 21,180. So 200 points in it. Let's keep in mind, 10,000 points for a win. So it is tight. And Ben Richards on 20,960. So not even 200 points behind Marcus. It is tight at the top. Martin Bender with the crash, you know, he's in 4th. And then as we get down to the cut, it's we got some big dogs down there. Christopher Trudell and Wei Tian Ho, 12,000 and 11,000.
Maxime Chablot.
Wei Tian is not even 400 points ahead of Carl Regner Eriksson, who is below the cut. We have to talk about Chablot. This is our 22 world champion. He's got 3 no scores in a row. He has not kept his skis on for a full run yet this year. Chablot, he's way down there. He's in 21st place. The only guys below him, or the only guy below him, is Tams Marvell, who blew his knee in the first comp and hasn't competed. Chablot is in a pickle. This is a world champ. Can he do it? Yeah, but he's got to be on the podium for the next 2 comps. Bang bang. Big punch front today. Overshot last week in Valto. Big crash on the double backflip in Spain. uncharacteristic, I think, for the former world champ.
It's almost like his calibration is just a little bit off.
Yeah.
Right? He's still right there. It's just these little things. It happens though. Maybe he's just going through a slump, right? You know, there's a couple other riders I can think of right now that are going through some big slumps that isn't characteristic of their riding. And that happens sometimes, but I think that might be what's going on with him right now.
Well, and yeah, absolutely. And when you have 22 of the best riders on the planet all together, somebody is going to be down, right? And every one of those guys is pushing themselves to their limit. And Chablot's for sure doing that. Like, he's not holding back at all. But 3 crashes in a row is whew, like, he's got himself painted into a corner right now that he's gonna have to come out swinging in Georgia and Fieberbrunn if he wants to get himself on the good side of that cut. So interesting situation right now. But Valley Rayner, he's sitting on top. You know, for him to put together another season where he can win another world title, well, he's on the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that rounds it out. What a fun day. Absolutely fantastic day. We'll probably be seeing each other in person in about 20 minutes. This was the quickest, easiest way to get it to you. The last one took us a little while, but hey, that's what happens. We love that you guys are here with us and are patient. So I'm going to work on this tomorrow, Saturday, and we'll have it out this weekend so you can listen to it on your way to work on Monday, or while you're avoiding work on Monday, or however you listen or watch it. If you are listening on the podcast, please make sure you're subscribed and following Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, all of the places. And you can watch us on YouTube. We film these through Riverside or in person when we ever get together. You can see what we look like. We can see our cool new Freeride Guide merch, which we're developing. Get these sweet toques on right now. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that follow button. It really, really helps us out. Huge thank you to Surefoot. Custom ski boots, custom orthotics, custom liners.
Do yourself a favor. Just go in and get it done. You will not once in your life regret it. Treat your feet. Treat yourself. Go to Surefoot. And
don't leave your boots in the overhead bin of the airplane. Yes, we tell you to bring them on the plane, but don't leave them on the plane.
That's good advice.
Yeah. As you heard from Lily.
Or you're skiing in your mom's boots in a world tour comp.
Yeah, absolutely. She might need to take a visit to Surefoot. Okay, we want to hear from you. If we got something right today, if you want to debate a point, if you want to give us a slap on the back, tell us you're doing a great job, send an email to the backslap at freerideguyepodcast.com. We may just read it on the air. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Derek, what do we got? Oh, Fun Bet. We got to talk about the Fun Bet. I don't know if the results are up yet because the comp has only been over for a few hours.
I don't want to talk about it, Mark. I went to bed last night and forgot to put my Fun Bet bets in. So I got 0 points, probably minus points. So I think we can just leave the Fun Bet out.
Ooh, all right. Well, I did it late last night at like 1:30 in the morning. I was editing. So I did. So those of you who haven't listened, if you haven't checked it out already, I got a lot of interviews on slope while during face check, and I edited those up last night at like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Put them out so they would be ready before the competition and before this. So maybe go have a look at that. The results aren't up yet, so maybe we'll have to just.
Yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Let you know how we did. I know how I did. 0.
Yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. And if you still want to join us, you're more than welcome to come join us here. Freeride Guide Podcast Fun Bet League. Come join our league. Ask for an invite and we'll bring you on in, and you can be part of the whole thing. So thank you, everybody, for continuing to listen to the Freeride Guide. The audience is growing every day. I think I handed out 100 stickers today, and every sticker I told, I'm like, hey, do you know what the Freeride Guide is? And they're like, oh, that sounds awesome. So the community is growing. We love you guys. We want to hear your feedback. Follow us on Instagram as well, Freeride Guide. We'll post some videos and some photos and stuff of the events and of the what's goings on. The goings on. That was so hard for me to do. It's been a long day, and let's go get some dinner, and I'll meet you soon for a beer, Derek. Cheers to everybody paying attention, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Cannot wait to see you. Off we go to Georgia. We got a little break here and carrying on Freeride Guide. Whoo-wee, what a day.
When is the Georgia comp? How many days you got?
Home for a week and then heading to Georgia for the next event. I think the window opens on the 22nd of February.
22nd of February. So that means you should probably start traveling like in a couple days, isn't it?
Yeah. Flying to Georgia on the 18th. It takes about 9,000 years to get there. So can't wait. Planes, trains, and automobiles, and donkeys and horses and whatever else.
For real though, isn't it like a 4-day mission?
Yeah, it's 48 to 50 hours door to door. Yeah, gonna catch up on my sleep now.
There you go. Find a good podcast to listen to on the airplane.
Ooh, I think I know one.
Oh yeah. Thanks everybody. If you're listening to this and you're also a fan of podcasts, tune in to the Low Pressure Podcast because new episodes are dropping soon. It's been a while, but we're coming back for a limited series. So thanks again, everybody, and we will talk to you sooner than you think.
This has been a Redmark Media production.